Welcome, Fantasy Faire people. I'm filling in for Kyle today. This is the Fantasy Faire podcast. I'm not gonna do his shtick or whatever it is. It's not my thing at that point. However, I'm your host, your fill-in host for today. I am Alexis Soto, which I've been on the show. I mean, by the time this thing is up, you'll hear me in a number of episodes at this point. Thanks to the social distancing, we are now free to do whatever we want. And one of the things that Moreno, who is also here,
What's
so
up?
say hi to her. How you doing?
Hello.
I know, right? We're doing audio commentaries, and we mentioned Frozen 2, and we mentioned Onward and others, but for just her and I thought it'd be nice to do a classic, especially one that is close to both of our hearts, and that is The Little Mermaid. To me, I mean, I think an argument can be made like one of the best ever, and certainly as far as like just God, there's so many things to say about the movie, and we will. But I don't know, where do you want to start off this discussion on this? Like, we can talk about, and we can go at a range of different things about like where we first experienced this movie, why it like means so much to us. One of the things I want to start off with though is
Is this your favorite Disney movie?
No, I don't. Sorry, something happened right now. It was creepy. There's like a door that slammed in the house. That was, I don't know what it is about ghosts and doing these recordings. It's creepy. Is it my favorite Disney movie? I don't think it. I'm not actually sure. I think it could be. I haven't, believe it or not, because it's so hard of a job to do.
Yeah.
I haven't actually sat down and like thought about like, okay, which is like the one, but it might just be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I wanted to say immediately is like, this is one of those that, and I'm not sure if maybe it was because this was the one that I watched the least of the Renaissance movies.
Oh, really? Oh, this is the one that I watched, I think, the most. But there's like a reason for it. But I'll tell later.
Well, of course there is. But like, yeah, I think I would watch. I remember watching Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast a lot more, and certainly Toy Story or Bug's Life, which are obviously Pixar movies. But this is like the one that I go back to the most as an adult now. And I don't know what it is about it, but like I find this to be like easily the most rewatchable of them, because it's just so. It's not. I think maybe it might be the shortest one of them all. I'm not sure, but it goes by quick.
It does,
yeah, it really does. Maybe because it's so enjoyable.
That happens like every time, like whenever we do like the retrospects and stuff. Whenever I like rewatch them, I'm like, oh, this felt a lot longer when I was little.
Yeah, no, all of them did. It felt like, and then maybe because like we're older now and we like see a lot longer movies. You're surprised at the official. By the way, that this shot right here that we're looking at, I mean, breathtaking, and there's so many of them here. But,
also, what's his name? Alan Menken, and they were just
Howard
mentioned.
Ashman?
Yeah, they were just mentioned. I don't know if it's...
Right,
oh, look,
right.
right here. The Mickey and Donald.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, somewhere. Oh, maybe we missed it already.
Maybe we did.
I think we did.
It's just I asked... Well, we'll see
right here, right here.
Yeah, here it is. I asked Moreno to see where we can catch a glimpse of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, that cameo in this somewhere. I'm looking, and I missed it, I think.
No.
Yeah, I think we...
Oh, maybe we did. Dang.
Yeah, like, I always, like, struggled to find it. I know I saw it once, but... Yeah, I think it's done. Yeah, but it certainly, a lot of these movies felt a lot longer, again, as children. But I don't know what it is about this one. And by the way, this movie has a combination of many things that I cherish, like... not just the characters, but I think as far as the setting being in the ocean, which notoriously I do love. And of course, the music being so great in all of this. And I think maybe I think why at its heart, this is the one that I go back to the most now is, the signature I Want song of this.
Well, this is kind of... I mean, going to like the history of the movie, this kind of brought back the company. I mean, you could kind of debate whether it was this one or Roger Rabbit, but I mean, I think you could say this one is like the one that was like, okay, they're back type of thing.
Well, I think it saved Disney animation. That's the history of and the legacy ultimately of Little Mermaid, aside from being a great film. I was actually watching for the first time. I'm not sure if you or Kyle had discussed this documentary film before.
I saw that you were watching it. I was going to text you, who's watching this? I love this.
Yeah, I was watching Waking Sleeping Beauty. And it was, I mean, great film. Go out and watch it. And it shows you just, oh my God, one of the things, and I don't want to turn this into a review of that, but it's great. But man, we really underestimated how Frank Wells' death affected everything. Like it pretty much shut everything down. Like he was the guy that was holding Roy E. Disney, Michael Eisner, and Jeffrey Katzenberg from killing each other, it seemed. And his death was definitely a blow to the future of the Renaissance, it seemed, with Katzenberg stepping down. But what they also do stress, in a way, I think every documentary, or even the behind the scenes features of the DVD release of The Little Mermaid a few years ago, or maybe even more than a few years ago at this point.
No, it was last year, right?
Well, that was the Blu-ray 4K release. I'm talking about the original DVD release of this movie back in 2006.
Oh, that's the one that I have.
That was way back. Yeah. I have that one as well. And they have extensive behind the scenes features of the making of this movie, and a lot of time is devoted to talking about how this saved the very future of Disney animated movies. Of course, real quick, I want to mention, like, and we'll be discussing these names, but of course, directors Ron Clements and John Musker. Yeah. Of course, the team of Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, and Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the head of the studio, and then Michael Eisner, and then Roy Disney. So many people working on this under the most dire of circumstances and pressure that you would never prey on anybody. And for it to have come as great as this is, I mean, it's just, I know we talk about it so many times, but it's crazy to think that Disney animated movies almost died.
Yeah.
And then when this came out in 1989, again, I wasn't alive. Neither of us were alive back then. But when this was, based on like the stuff that I've seen, this was like a, you know how in these days we have movies that come out of nowhere that are like surprising and that kind of change the direction of the studio.
Yeah.
I know we talked about, we do podcasting every day, guys. So look at the Red Spotlight feed or Fantasy Faire feed. But we just finished recording part 1 of our top 10 movies of the decade. And one of the films that we were discussing was The Winter Soldier. And what I still think to this day is that Winter Soldier really changed the direction of Marvel Studios. Dramatically so. The 1-2 punch of Winter Soldier and Guardians, for what that did to what Marvel Studios became. Like the roles of James Gunn and Joe and Anthony Russo themselves being so expanded after that. Like there are and by the way, Winter Soldier and Guardians were both surprises in their own right. Nobody expected them to be what they were and the impact that they would have. And that's what happened with Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid, I mean, there were good films before that I haven't seen, like Great Mouse Detective or Oliver and Company.
But they didn't have the impact that this one did.
And unfortunately, those movies are just trying to recover from the Black Cauldron bomb, which famously lost at the box office to the Care Bears movie. Yeah. That's rock bottom if there ever was anything. Which breaks my heart
because I love that movie so much.
The Black Cauldron?
I would watch that movie a lot when I was little. It would freak me out. Like, it's a scary movie, especially if you're like a little kid. Yeah. But I don't know what it was. I loved that movie.
I mean, I saw it. I thought it was perfectly fine. I think what was memorable about it was definitely the dark imagery and its tone.
It was very risky, which I think is what I like about it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It was like Hunchback, and then even then, like, I don't know which one was more risky. I mean, I guess you could say Hunchback was a little bit more risky just because it talks.
You could say Hunchback was more risque.
Yeah.
With a lot of Hunchback definitely has more of I think, more overtly sexual nature in some of the characters. Whereas in Black Cauldron, it's just really scary.
Yeah.
Like the villain itself is like it's a cool design.
Yeah. And it's also like interesting to see why it bombed so badly, because this was like the reason why they made this movie was because it was a time when like Masters of the Universe was coming out and like Dungeons and Dragons was a thing. So it's really weird to see how badly this movie did, because it made sense that they would make it.
I think an argument could be made that a lot of that was just outside the control of the people behind the making of that film. The damage had already been done, and Disney animated movies had a reputation long before that film released. I think The Black Cauldron really exposed just how bad the reputation of Disney animation had gotten, but there's a reason why people didn't even bother going out to see the movie. It's just that Disney animated movies at that point in time in the mid-'80s were just not what they were.
Yeah.
And they hadn't been for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
So I feel like that definitely played a part. And then maybe a big part of, we saw this in the Imagineering story as well as Waking Sleeping Beauty, that movies, like Marvel movies, Star Wars movies that make big bucks, they're made in large part because the people that go out and go see them are people our age, from like 18 to like 20, whatever. And in that crowd, somebody said, wow, those kids would not be caught near a Disney animated movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's how bad the reputation was. And then, you need to, compare that to where it is today. And in most of the recent Pixar movies, it's mostly adults that go out and see these movies, which is like a complete day and night situation. But
I mean, you could also say like how back then playing like Dungeons and Dragons and all, like nerd air quote culture was like not frowned upon, but it just wasn't like the cool thing to do or whatever. Whereas now it's like, if you're not into those things, like, who are you?
Yeah, that's an interesting dichotomy of how that's flipped entirely, right? We should probably talk about the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people who know us know that we get off into these tangents and they're great discussions. We're about to actually go into the part of your world sequence right now. And what I wanted to say at the beginning of the top of this discussion was that sequence in and of itself, I mean, for me personally, kind of, I feel, resembles like the last few years of my life. And it's like, I mean, not that like I'm a fucking mermaid underwater and I want to go out into land, obviously, but it's like the subtext that's being said there is just, it's universal to everybody just feeling so alone, misjudged, and just wanting to be a part of something else, something bigger than where they are right now, but just having no idea of how to break into that, right? I think more than just like being like Ariel's want song, like Ariel wants to be part of the human world and she wants to, meet a prince and everything. I think in today's audiences, that plays, I feel, to a much more, and maybe it always did, to a much broader concept. That it to me, this sequence of her singing this, which we'll get to, pretty masterwork of a song, I think it's one of those instances that breaks through the screen and just touches the I guess you can call it pop culture.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie was. And it's crazy to think
that this isn't gonna
how
be
they almost cut it out. Like, this is my favorite sequence of the film. I think it's many people's favorite sequence of the film. And it's crazy because, like, if this wasn't there, the movie wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. I think that's why I truly, truly love Alan Menken and Howard Ashman. Because, I mean, this isn't my favorite Disney movie, but it's my favorite princess movie, and it's my favorite movie from the Renaissance. And it is because of the scene. Because I remember when I was little, Under the Sea was not my favorite.
Right. Well, the sea is not your favorite in general. You don't like the ocean.
Yeah. And so, when I heard that, like, this, or when I found out, like, years ago that this wasn't going to be part of it, I was like, but that's, like, the whole movie to me.
Right,
and he fought to, like, keep it in there.
Yeah, the story is that they were doing a test screening of this movie. But with unfinished animation, it was just storyboarded, which I know that at New York Film Festival, they had done that with Beauty and the Beast to adults, and that was a big thing. But to test screen this movie to children, I wouldn't put too much stock in it, because like I can't ask a child to like take anything seriously that's not in complete animation like this. But what happened is that Katzenberg, who was the head of the studio at that point, he saw that kids were just restless and not paying attention to this, and what he took from that was, oh, this song's not working. But that's the movie. And I love the fact that Howard Ashman like fought. So I mean, he wrote this damn thing. He and Alan Menken and all the music here, and he revolutionized all of what Disney animation became with the concept that, and there's amazing footage of this out there, that if you take out those songs, you take out
the character,
vital information, the character, but vital moments of the movie wouldn't be the same if you took out any of the songs, as well as the fact as to how the songs transition from spoken dialogue so effortlessly and seamlessly. Like what we just heard right now, and especially with Under the Sea, it's like the point is for you not to notice from when it changes from open dialogue to a song. Like that man was a pioneer for what the Renaissance really became, and it was the DNA for all of those movies.
Yeah.
And that was different than the classic Disney films, which featured songs, but not in this way.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind his background in musical theater. Like he had, apparently, it's weird to me how nobody thought of this until him.
Yeah.
that musical theater and animation could work so wonderfully with each other.
It's so funny. And then I mean, not to go off too much on a tangent, but like how we were talking about Les Mis yesterday. I think
on the top 10 decade show for those who want to listen to that. Yeah.
That's like one of the reasons why I don't like Les Mis is because how you said that it's the transition from dialogue to song is very seamless. That's not what I get from Les Mis. It's just pure song.
What transition? The whole thing's one fucking long song. I mean, that's what it is. And that can also, that whole movie has his own thing all in and of itself. But some people aren't, huge fans of musicals, but many of those people who don't care for musicals love these movies, and I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Also, something that's not appreciated of nowadays because it's 2020, right? But in 1989, you got to think about this. Like, this movie would have been nearly impossible to have been made when Walt was alive, simply because of water. One of the things that I remember watching years ago when Dave Filoni at Lucasfilm will talk about how in certain Clone Wars episodes, it would take them years to go to places where they had water or even had rain because of how hard it was. This is in the late 2000s, by the way, to do water in animation. But when I think of water and animation, 3 films that changed the game, think back to Pinocchio way back in 1942. The water and the whale nearly, I think, again, it was one of those films that almost broke the bank, right? Is how much that cost and everything.
Yeah.
How much it cost to do Pinocchio. And then, but the water, even to this day, when you see Pinocchio, it is gorgeous to see.
Mm-hmm.
But Little Mermaid was a game changer all in and of its own. The fact that you believe, yes, animation helps, but you're literally there. And it's like, I'm impressed that to this day, the film might look better than it ever has. Like the recent Ultra HD reskin that is available on Disney Plus or to purchase digitally is the best that movie's ever looked.
Yeah, honestly, like, all of them. I was watching Alice in Wonderland the other day, and David walked in, and he had to like stop and look at the screen because he was like, "Wow, that looks really good."
Yeah, it really does. And to me, like this is 1989. We're over 30 years later, right? This movie has been around, and it's aged beautifully. It's aged like fine wine, as Kyle likes to say. This movie, it looks as beautiful, maybe even more so than it did back then. And the other movie I was going to mention was Finding Nemo, right? Because that one was as far as for water and animation, that was like a whole new world. No pun intended, right? But yeah, I can only imagine, because the budget, I think it was, I don't know how much money they had for this movie, but like for it to look as great as it did, I know that Disney has made like movies like Pinocchio, Sleeping Beauty, that literally broke the bank and then some. And it took them years to recover from that. But in this case, I'm not sure if this movie was as expensive to make as those, and yet this recouped all of its money and then some. Mm-hmm. That's a good question to ask somebody who would know, huh? I just don't.
I mean, I want to say the budget was really low just because Michael Eisner was there. Because it was the Michael Eisner era. And so I would assume it was just a really low budget. Not like super low, but like pretty low.
One of the things that I really like about this one, and even more so than the other ones in the Renaissance, and that's a high bar because what I'm about to say, you can say I think for a lot of them, but I love all the side characters in this. Yeah, like even
my favorite
the
is
dog
Flounder.
Max here. Flounder, Scuttle gets hilarious every time. Even more hilarious every time I watch this. King Triton, even Flotsam and Jetsam are fun. But like, oh God, like, a big reason why I think this movie really works is, at least for me anyway, is Sebastian.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, Ariel, but like Sebastian is that grounded character that no one talks about, but I guess he has kind of an arc, right? Because like we begin the movie
and he's
with
very,
him like being stuck up, or maybe not stuck up, but like he's very like one way about everything. But then as Ariel gets caught up with Ursula, like he helps her wholeheartedly, and really all he really wanted was what was best for her. Yeah. So yeah, like I always thought like Flounder had much more of a presence in the marketing or merch of Little Mermaid in subsequent years. But like I don't think it's been until like recent years where like Sebastian has gotten more of an appreciation for this movie. Yeah. I think, and there's also Under the Sea.
Oh yeah. That's really weird. He has like not the main song, but he has a song in the movie, and he's like sometimes overlooked, I feel. But
that's the song that won the Oscar.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think they're both great. My favorite is Flounder. there's when I got hired, because spoiler, I work at the Disney store. When I got hired, one of the questions they ask you is like, what character do you think you're most like? And I said Flounder.
By the way, I just want to say I love how stupid Scuttle is. Because every line just makes me crack up. Like what he just did right now, I can't make out a heartbeat.
Yeah.
With his damn ear or whatever against the damn foot. I remember, I think it was a Disney store. I did purchase once a Flounder plush. I think it was, yeah, I gave it to Nettie, I think one year for Christmas. And she loved it. So I guess she's a big Flounder fan too. Yeah, this
this is like the iconic scene.
This is just stunning.
When like every girl would do this in the bathtub.
Yeah, where she like really Did you do this?
Oh yeah. I had a Barbie doll of Ariel, and like when I would take baths, I would play with her and I would do this.
Yeah, that's the one of the iconic, if not the iconic part, where like she peeks into the peak of the song or the reprise here, and of course water just so cinematically splashes up against the rock. I know, and right?
Then this is the shot, right, they got from the book.
Oh yeah, that's right, from the Hans Christian Andersen, the original Little Mermaid.
Yeah, or was it the one at the end? No, I think it's this one. Maybe both.
Maybe.
Also, the dialogue that Scuttle has on the ride at DCA, oh my god, it's great.
Remind me what that was again? What does he say exactly?
Well, there was one line. I haven't heard it since, but he says, like...
Right.
He wants to say, like, Ariel is a princess or something, but he instead of saying princess, he says pretzel. I think it's so funny.
So Ursula. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about Ursula.
Yeah.
That a lot of people, like, people who are very, like, conservative or whatever, don't let their kids watch this movie because of Ursula.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow.
It's so funny.
Because Ursula was her design, anyway, was based off who?
I forgot her name, but she's, like, a tranny, right?
Something Divine.
Yeah, Divine. I think that's her.
She was a drag queen.
A drag queen, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is that really the reason why? Because she was based off a drag queen?
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. I mean, do they realize Howard Ashman was gay? And,
I don't think they know who he was.
He wrote all the music and... Like, hello? Like, okay. It's hilarious because, like, if it hadn't been for gay people, I don't think the Renaissance would have taken shape as it did. I don't know what you think, but... I mean, not you, but, like, they.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
She's a great villain, though. Her song is a bop.
Oh, yes. I mean...
Ooh, yes.
Fuck those people, because like the design was great.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to Ursula, but this song right here doesn't get old for me. Does any of the music, by the way, in this movie get? Oh no.
Okay. No. So the reason why this is the movie that I watched the most, when do you remember that earthquake that we had, like that big earthquake, during Easter?
Yes.
So
this was back in 2012.
Yeah, so my TV fell during that earthquake, and the cable, like the cable that connected to the TV, that was like the actual cable, it stopped working, like because it pulled on it, so it like broke. So maybe like a year or two, I spent just using like I think the DVD player, and the only movie that I had was The Little Mermaid. So that's all I would watch.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to guess how many times you watched it in those 2 years?
It was like once every day. Because it started off with Grease, because I still had a VHS, but then I watched that movie so much that it broke. And so I had to switch movies, and the only other one that I had was The Little Mermaid.
You watched it so much that it broke.
Yeah. And this is like, what year was that earthquake? Like, it wasn't that long ago. It was like
No,
recent.
it was 2012.
Yeah. So.
No, that's wrong. That was, that was 2010.
Was it? Oh, yeah, because it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, still in 2010, I was using VHSs.
Yeah, I don't think I've used a VHS tape not since 2005. So there's that. Yeah. I mean, remind me, the original World of Color, I know this song is, I think, more prominently featured than Part of Your World, or are they both?
Ooh.
Because I know Ariel is at the top of the show.
Yeah. I want to say Part of Your World.
Okay.
No, it's maybe this one, because I think A Part of Your World was just like that rock scene, and then this one, it might be the whole song, or like a longer part of the song.
I really loved how much of, and this is going to get into some parks discussion, but I'm sure Fantasy Faire people wouldn't mind that. I really love how, like, low-key, Little Mermaid was, like, a big part of DCA's, like, revival, if you will.
I know, I was so sad when they took Ariel's grotto away. And I only went in there one time.
Oh, I never even was there.
Oh, no.
I never was there, yeah.
I, like, cried walking in, because I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah. Because, like, to have something Little Mermaid in the parks was, like, weirdly a rarity. Remember, we just went off on how this movie saved, like, Disney animation, and yet nothing for like years and years and years in the parks with this movie. Do
you remember her meet and greet from like a long time ago, where it was like her shell?
Yeah.
I remember that. That was like the last thing that I remembered before like GCA.
I know before DCA, but they also had, I think it's Pixie Hollow now next to Sleeping Beauty Castle, but they used to have some statues. Yeah. I think in a little like reflecting pool or something. Because on one side it was Snow White, and I think on the other side, and the Seven Dwarves, and then the other side it was Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's all we had, which is how you can tell, like, yeah, Ariel's grotto is gone, but like we got a dark ride, in exchange.
Yeah.
Which I'd prefer. And we just finished the Under the Sea sequence. I think it was outstanding, honestly, how they recreated the movie sequence so accurately in that dark ride, Under the Sea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like, I remember that scene, and then the scene... Okay, because when they were making that ride, I was, like, fully invested in everything. Like, I would watch videos, like, all the time on, like, each, like, the progress that they were doing with the ride and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that scene, and then I thought that the scene where Ursula, like, goes all big, I thought that was going to be part of the ride. And
that animatronic is spectacular.
Yeah, it is.
The Ursula one is chill-inducing.
Yeah, but I thought, like, no, but, like, when she's, like, wearing the crown and, like at the end of the movie, I thought that scene was going to be, like, a bigger part of the ride. And so those were, like, the two scenes that I was most excited to see. But then it turns out that she wasn't actually big. They made her into, like, a little small, like, shadow, like, silhouette thing on the side.
It was a projection.
Yeah.
In the background. Yeah. That's, like, a perfectly valid critique of that attraction. And remind me, this is the exact same attraction at Disney World, right? It's just the queue is different.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. How is it to see? I mean, I like our queue, but the one at Magic Kingdom, that's Prince Eric's castle. Yeah.
No, I mean that. So when we went to Disney World the first day, we went in just to watch the fireworks because because we went 2 days to Magic Kingdom. The second day, we were gonna go be our guest that night, so we weren't gonna be able to watch the fireworks. And so I told my family, let's go, like, let's try to see what rides we could get on, and then we'll sit down and watch the fireworks. But I went in a mission to find that ride first, and I could not find it, because the park is huge.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't know where it's at.
Oh, my God. Okay. But what was it when you finally got close to it? Was it day or night?
It was like sunset-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, so we kind of got to see it like when she finds him in the movie, like, you know how the sun is setting and it looks all like yellow. That's kind of when I saw it. That's how I felt it looked when I saw it. But but yeah, I mean, it was super cool. Like, the music is playing like in the background, and I was like crying.
Yeah. I honestly would be the same thing because I don't know what it is. Like, I've always, I mean, part of the magic of this movie is, as I mentioned earlier, the gorgeous design of a lot of the locations that we have. But I've always really, I think more than any other castle, I've always really loved Prince Eric's castle.
I did too.
And again, I love the ocean. You don't, but something about it got us both like, hey, that's beautiful.
Like, not that I don't like, what's the name, Atlantica, but like, I love Prince Eric's castle more.
It's just, Atlantica, and it's weird, right? It's not really prominently featured in the movie.
Yeah.
And maybe not even Prince. Well, more of the movie happens, I feel, on Prince Eric's castle. A lot of moments, and we get to see the inside of it, and a lot of the gorgeous visuals inside the castle, as well as at night and everything. We get more of, I guess, appearances, if you will, of the castle than we do Atlantica, and Atlantica is just very limited. And aside from the amazing opening shot, but I know that in Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea, they do have that, but still, it's just not as, I think, visually stunning as Prince Eric's castle.
And I don't know what it is. Like, whenever I tell that to people, they're like, "What? Like, his is like whatever." Like,
is it? No. Wow. Well. I no. Oh, God. It makes me so jealous because I wish we had that here in California. And it makes me think that maybe later in life I'll be flying out there just to go see that castle. Like, honestly, that may be like my top thing to go see at Magic Kingdom. It's just to experience it. Yeah.
No, I remember when I found out that they made the ride at Disney World too, and it was Prince Eric's castle. Oh my God, I like started crying. I was literally like, why is it this here? I don't understand. Like, why?
Well, would it have worked?
No.
In the surrounding area in Paradise Pier?
No.
It would have been a little off thematically, right? And then the other reality is, Fantasyland doesn't need any more attractions. I'm not even sure if there's space for any more attractions for that magnitude.
No.
Or the scale of that. So, I know. But I do like the aquarium style of what we have. Yeah. But I also...
Oh, wait, I love this scene when she does paint her lips. Great.
I was watching this last night to prepare for this, and one of the things that just gets me is, okay, so man, they really have like mastered like getting their hair ready underwater, haven't they? Because I think even Ursula gets something in her hands and she puts it like mousse or whatever. She puts it in her hair, and I'm like, but you're underwater. And then weirdly enough, or funnily enough, when Ariel becomes a human and she's standing on her two legs, her hair looks much more messed up than it did underwater, but it doesn't even look messed up underwater.
The movement of Ursula is great. Like her tentacles.
Yeah. Yeah, they got this done so right. And yeah, and this song.
The song is
to
great.
Me, yeah, like it might be my favorite villain song. Might be. Oh, well, I think the one that I like the best is Jeremy Irons in Lion King. Be prepared.
Yeah.
But this is great. And I gotta ask you this question though, like there's not one song in this movie that, like, I know if I even count songs like Fathoms Below, even though it's not like any character singing it, but it's still the opening of the movie. And the most comedic part of the movie, Les Poissons.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have Kiss the Girl, Under the Sea, Part of Your World, and Poor Unfortunate Souls, which are like the main four songs. In looking at the Disney Renaissance, I feel like this is the best well-rounded soundtrack of them. At least it's my favorite soundtrack. Mm-hmm. But how would you rank the soundtracks, at least in like the first big four Disney Renaissance movies?
This one would be first. Then, wait, what are the first four? It's
Beauty so we Beast. Have Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King. Yeah. Okay. And to me, Mermaid would be first, not just for the songs, but also for the score.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. I think Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and then Aladdin. Aladdin is like not one of my favorites. Actually, neither is Lion King. I kind of never really got into that. Like, not that I don't like it, like I do like it. But it was never one that I would go to a lot. Right. But the music I think is great.
Honestly, I love Elton John. I was just listening to Elton John right now before we recorded. But I feel that Lion King may be my least favorite.
I ranked them. Hold on, let me find this thing.
You did? You have ranked them?
Yeah. I have them somewhere. Hold on.
I honestly think I might prefer Aladdin over Lion King as a musical anyway.
Okay. I just think, because I love, what's it called? Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Like, that's one of my favorite songs. And so I think that's why I, like, have it above.
Also won an Oscar.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I have number 10 as, The Rescuers Down Under. Yeah. But besides that, oh, wow, I put Hunchback at number 9.
Are these, like, films?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But where's Lion King? Yeah.
We haven't talked about... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We haven't talked about the voice casting in this movie. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Pat Carroll right now is singing...
I've met her before.
Ursula. Really?
Yeah, at D23.
Talk about that story.
Oh, it was great. Because they usually have like a section at D23 where it's like vendors and stuff, but they also have people who did like voice acting for the movies. Like I saw I saw Dick Van Dyke back there one time. Mm-hmm. I couldn't go up to him because it was just like people who got like the package deal or whatever. But yeah, I saw him. I've seen what's her name? Margaret Kelly, the model for Tinkerbell. I've seen her a couple times, and then Pet Carol, I saw her the first year that I went to D23, and she was signing, and she people were asking her to do the voice, and she was doing it.
It's great. Like, it's just a voice that is instantly recognizable if you heard it out of the blue. And it's so hard to do this, right? A unique and great evil villain laugh. Mm-hmm. I run out of words to say. There's the castle. Yeah. There's the castle.
I love it.
I don't know if it's the color scheme or I think it's just that
it's like so simple, but like it's the castle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like extravagant. I don't know.
Right. I was just this instant reminded that in the direct-to-DVD sequel, they put up a wall in front of this. And it's crazy to think, because like putting up a wall has become like, I guess, a trendy thing now. Right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There was so near my aunt's house, she lived like kind of like I don't know what it's called. It's kind of like Parkside, where like all the houses look the same.
That's where I live.
Yeah. What's it called? There was one, like, I think like one or two streets before you get to her house, there was a house that had that like that round thing where it's like a tower but it's round. How his castle has it. And whenever I pass by, I'm like, oh look, that's Prince Eric's house.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
I need to go look for it then.
I know.
Was it close to your house?
No, it was. She lives in San Diego.
Oh.
Yeah.
On human legs. God, Samuel E. Wright was perfect for this character. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Gosh,
can we talk about how she's like naked?
I was gonna skirt past that, but go ahead.
I just think it's funny.
It is funny. You have to like block those things out. I guess we should talk about some aspects of this movie that have been criticized, right?
Oh yeah.
One of the things, well, we get to Ariel later, but like one of the things that's criticized about this, and I guess we'll talk about it, right? Whether it's like rightfully so or not. That I guess maybe in its day it might have been praised, but this whole like falling in love in 3 days and all that stuff, which is, I mean, at this point, if you look at the previous 3 Disney princess movies, I mean, her waiting 3 days sounds like a revolutionary concept compared to the others. But how do you feel about that whole? Because I know that in modern day Disney princess movies, it's just so far removed from even this, as far as like falling in love and like in a short span of time. How do you feel that's aged?
Is it that she has to marry him, or is it that he has to fall in love?
I think it's the idea of anybody falling in love with anybody else in a matter of 3 days. Well, or like how Eric wants to marry her because he sees her singing to her and she saved him and everything. I mean,
well, see, that's where it's like funny to me, because you could totally fall in love with somebody in 3 days. If it's marrying somebody, then okay, like, yeah, I get it. But falling in love, like, you obviously like spending time with that person for 3 days, like, yeah, like if you enjoy their company, if you know, maybe have like think the same and find things in common, like you could totally get feelings for somebody in 3 days. I don't see why that's so like, oh no, like, oh, so bad.
Yeah. I feel that the specific examples that people would bring up is, again, how Eric wants to immediately marry this person doesn't even know.
But he's under a spell. Well, okay,
no.
Okay, yeah.
Ariel.
Like when she sings.
Ariel.
Yeah. That is weird. It is.
But is it weird for Disney princess movies at that time. No. Because I just saw, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Snow White, and like those movies were like, and again, I think that in some ways that's not fair to the films themselves because of the time that they were made, and maybe even Little Mermaid, but those princes like laid eyes on this girl for like less than 5 seconds, and then they decided, I'm gonna marry her.
Yeah.
These are fairy tales, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. But there's also, to me, I feel why this movie, at least anyway, gets away with it more is I feel the connection between Eric and Ariel more, and I think their connection blows any of the other the previous three out of the water. Yeah. As far as like, first of all, this prince has a personality, which, hey, that's great. And what I think is what makes it feel real is Ariel doesn't have a voice. And what the movie shows is
she has to try even harder to.
There's that, but I think there's even more to it though. Is like originally Eric is attracted to Ariel because she looks like an angel when he's waking up shipwrecked. She saved his life in that beautiful, beautiful voice, which I get it. We all do. But what I think is even more beautiful is that all of those conventions just were not the reason why she fell in love with Ariel. Is I think it was the end of the second day, after the whole kiss the girl sequence, he had realized the connection that he had established with Ariel, not knowing that Ariel was the girl that he originally was falling in love with.
Yeah.
And I think what was great about what they show here is that while Grimsby is talking to Eric is ready to, like, you know what? He's right. This girl right here, there's something special about her.
Yeah. And
she hasn't said a word to him. So I feel that this movie works more than I feel the people give it credit for.
Yeah, definitely.
And here we have Le Poisson with Chef Louis, which, by the way,
I love this song.
I love the song, yes, but pure comic relief. I love how he goes so ballistic and like destroys the entire kitchen because of one crab. And I also love, Sebastian being horrified. This must be horrific. Yeah. It's also just, I don't know. I mean, it fits the tone, but the song is just, oh God, beautiful.
Now with the thing about like her wanting to leave just to be with Eric.
Yeah, I honestly didn't feel that was I didn't realize
until later.
Well, no, I didn't realize that was a long-standing issue with people until like I met Kyle. And then people like Sarah Sterling in the Disney community sphere or whatever. And I've heard their opinions of it. And basically the argument goes is Ariel is not a sympathetic character because she acts selfishly and she leaves behind her whole world, including her family, on a gamble. But I just feel I just can't take that argument seriously.
I mean, think it's funny because she is 16, as she says. Any 16-year-old would do the same.
Yeah. And it's like this idea of her being inherently selfish. I don't know if you realize this, but that's kind of human nature. Like, there are better and kinder people generally than others, but everybody acts in their self-interest to an extent. I mean, that's not, I think, indisputable. So And we also see Ariel just how lost and alone she is. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't she take the chance? Like to me, I think as far as like her personality and her character, to me, I've never found her to be anything other than kind and sweet. Mm-hmm. And any Disney princess should be.
She just follows what she feels is right. Like she follows her heart, air quotes.
Right. And also, she loves her father and her family. And she says in the movie, but if I do this, I'll never see my family again. Yeah. So she does take that into consideration. Yeah. But it's like, I think you missed the point in that she feels so misunderstood by everyone, by all of her loved ones, by everyone there. Mm-hmm. Like what does she say? What would I pay to spend a day on the sand?
Yeah, and I don't think it's like necessarily like her going after Eric. I think she goes after Eric because it's what Ursula tells her to do. No.
It's the first connect. Well,
because it's what Ursula tells her to do. Like you stay human if you have this guy like fall in love with you. So obviously she's gonna be like, yeah, like I need to like. Once she does like him, and then she like that's her opportunity to stay human, to stay in this world that she wants to be a part of.
Right.
And so I see it more as like she just wants to explore the thing that she wants to see the most, type of thing.
And part of that is Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you getting the opportunity to go travel. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not like she can't see her family. Like, she could still see her family. She just, and her dad has magic. Like, I'm sure at any point he could just be like, here, come back. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is one of those examples where we just discussed earlier. We just don't see a lot of this kingdom underwater. And then we go back to the castle in a much better shot. Like,
wow, I've never seen the background in this shot. Or, like, I just never paid attention to it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you. Yeah, the kingdom is also beautiful, too. We're about to see a scene here with Eric and Ariel, and they're dancing in what looks to me like the Court of Angels that used to be at New Orleans at New Orleans Square at Disneyland. Do you know what I'm referring to, the Court of Angels?
Yeah.
So the Court of Angels was this, like, one of those rare places at Disneyland where you accidentally happen upon, and there's, like, next to no people there because it's one of those dead ends. But it was, I think, among Disneyland fans in particular, a fan favorite spot to be in. One of those quiet places to get away from. Mm-hmm. And it looks a lot like what we just saw Eric and Ariel dance right there. Which they closed a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I want to say it led to the entrance of Club 33.
Yeah. It was for Club 33 for sure why it closed. I think I did happen upon that once. The Court of Angels. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been before it closed?
I don't remember. Because it was just like one of those things like you just passed by it. Like.
Right. Yeah, but I feel like I have this memory of passing by there, and I think Tiana was doing like a meet and greet.
Maybe.
I love how fucking clumsy Scuttle is. Everything this guy does makes me crack up. Wow. God. And he's also he's so oblivious. Yeah. I don't think he realizes how everybody around him thinks he's
an idiot.
Like an idiot. Yeah. Here we have Kiss the Girl. And I kid you not, I think like one of my earliest memories of this particular song was the Ashley Tisdale version on Disney Channel, or that it was attached to. Remember that? There was like a whole like music video, I think, at a prom or something.
That's in the DVD that I have.
Yeah. And Ashley Tisdale was Ashley Tisdale from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and High School Musical and Phineas and Ferb, longtime Disney Channel veteran, was singing. Yeah, she sings because that's a requirement, right, for every Disney actress. Yeah, she sang a cover of this for the DVD release back in 2006. Yeah. And then I know that now I never thought it was like the best version of Part of Your World, but I know you didn't like the Carly Rae Jepsen version of it. I like it. I like it for how simple it is, although clearly I have yet to hear a version of Part of Your World that's anywhere near as great as Jodie Benson's.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I saw when I saw Jodie Benson the first time.
Oh, you've met her?
Wild. No, I didn't meet her, but it was that year that all the princesses came out during like Ralph Breaks the Internet.
For Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was bawling.
Oh gosh. You were in the front row, right?
Oh no, for that one I was in the back. I was one of the last people to walk in. But like they set up the seats pretty well to where it's you don't feel that far away. But man, as soon as they started calling everybody out and then she came out, like it was crazy.
Yeah, Jodie Benson is just one of those that
I love her. Like she's so, I don't know, she's like one of the people that I would love to meet. Well, she's so active in the community. Yeah. All the conventions, all the places where she has to be, where it comes to Ariel, she's always there. Like that's her life. Yeah, like I love that she like genuinely like loves Ariel. She's kind of like the Ahsoka, like Ashley Eckstein. Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with you 100% there. I wanted to say, because you had mentioned earlier in the commentary that you followed the construction closely with Ariel's Undersea Adventure. Mm-hmm. Like the very first one that you paid so much attention to, as did I. And I got to ask you, kind of like knowing what you're going to say, but just like, to say it here. Did you watch that whole like opening ceremony like presentation? Yeah. The one where you have like Jodie Benson sing Part of Your World, and then they, I think, cut the ribbon or whatever, and like they officially opened Ariel's Undersea Adventure. Yeah. Yeah. Were you crying? Oh yeah. Yeah. And one of the things I said earlier is like it was so prominently featured with the revival of DCA, but you also, I think it was one of the only movies to have like 2 songs featured in World of Color. Yeah. Cause was Pocahontas? I remember Colors of, well, maybe it might have been both. I think it might have been both. Yeah, it might have been Just Around the Riverbend and Colors of the Wind, which I think makes sense, right? Because it's and World Savages. Of Color. I'm just kidding. No. Let's forget that ever happened. God. I used to love this scene. I don't know why. It's a beautiful sequence. And it's a great showcase for Jodie Benson's beautiful voice. Mm-hmm. Angelic even, I feel. Like honestly, I think maybe, and it's hard because there have been some great actresses that have been cast as Disney princesses, but I feel like there's just something, Jodie Benson, I feel like captures Ariel. Like Ariel is Jodie Benson and Jodie Benson is Ariel. Yeah. Like I feel like, and the voice and Ariel's singing voice in particular, she's like, I think, there are some princesses that are not, their singing voices are different. Yeah. But as far as like Jodie Benson's, do you feel there? What princesses to you out there do you think rival the power of Ariel's voice for you? I think Tiana. Oh, yes, Tiana, Anika Rose. Rapunzel.
Right, Mandy Moore.
The thing I love about Rapunzel is that Mandy Moore has a little bit of a lisp, and they capture that in Rapunzel's animation. Oh my god, I love that. And probably Anna and Elsa.
Well, I mean,
but like it's kind of not fair because they're kind of Broadway stars. But yeah. I mean, they're kind of all Broadway stars. I think Tiana, I think she was a Broadway star. But I mean, out of all of them, I love Jodie Benson the most.
Of course, I think to me it's Jodie Benson, Anika Rose, who does Tiana. Paige O'Hara, Belle. I love Belle. I wish she had more songs.
I don't love her speaking voice though.
Really?
I don't love it. Yeah. Like her singing is great, but like I was kind of thinking more like that I like both the singing and the voice, the regular talking. Like I think those are the ones that I feel fit the most.
Well, I was just thinking as far as just like musicality or the power of the voice. The voice that I think I remember, the belters, you know?
Yeah.
Like, ironically, I think Idina Menzel, like, to me, I prefer Paige O'Hara as Belle, Jodie Benson as Ariel, Anika Rose as Tiana, and Ali E. Carvalho as Moana.
Mm-hmm. I would even argue in saying Cinderella.
Eileen Woods. The original Eileen Woods, Cinderella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Cinderella is like not one of my favorite princesses, but the soundtrack for that movie I think is amazing, and
iconic.
The voice acting for Cinderella I think is really great. Yeah.
I agree. And you know what? Because I recently rewatched the first three Disney princesses, and also for those listening, if you weren't aware, on Fantasy Faire on this feed, we're gonna have another ranked episode, and this time it's Disney princess movies, which is why we're doing. At least, anyway, I'm rewatching all of them that I haven't in a while, and you know what?
Yeah.
Cinderella is gonna move up in my list. That was never a movie that I cared for particularly, but like having seen it recently, I was actually surprised by how much I liked her.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what it was. You did? You too? Wow.
Yeah. Well, when I was little, that movie just like I just did not like it.
It didn't connect.
No, it didn't. And I kind of felt like how people feel about this movie, like all of the issues that they have with it. I kind of felt that way about Cinderella.
Really?
And then I also really loved, I love the Rodgers and Hammerstein version of Cinderella, like the one that aired on ABC, the one with Brandy and Whitney Houston. And so I was like, I would always compare the two, but I don't know when I like rewatched the movie after like a really, really long time, and I was like, wow, like this movie's like, obviously it's really good because it was another Little Mermaid where it saved the company.
Right.
But like, it's really good. Like I loved Jack and Gus. Lady Tremaine I think is great.
Yeah.
And the music, I love the music. And
the sequence,
the animation of the movie I think is really good.
I agree so much with that. When they cut to Lady Tremaine realizing, man, this bitch really is like Cinderella. Like she was the one where they cut to her and she has that look in her eye. That was like, whoa, I'm shook.
Yeah.
Like,
when Cinderella's walking away, like dancing in the hallway, and she looks at her and she's like, you asshole. Like, it was you.
Yeah. And you know what was also strange? I think Cinderella had some of the best direct-to-DVD sequels.
Yeah.
Of those. And I feel, I don't know if we haven't done this yet, but I would like to do a show discussing those like Disney Toon direct-to-DVD sequels. I know like we watched, at least I know I watched most of them, if not all of them.
Yeah, I watched all of them. The Little Mermaid one, the second movie, is one of my favorite movies.
Right. Well, me too.
Yeah.
And
I hate when people are like, no, that one sucks. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. No, the worst one for me is Peter Pan. I can't with that one.
I don't remember it that much.
I think Wendy's daughter, I forgot her, I think her name is Jane or something. Oh my god, I think she's the worst.
Whoa. Yeah.
This scene would always scare me when she's crawling.
I know, isn't it creepy? Yeah, Ursula's great. Like, again, it's just like the perfect motivation for a villain. And I don't know, I always just like the whole backstory with her and like when I lived in the palace. Mm-hmm. I always like was curious to see a little bit of that, what that might have been like.
I know, I don't understand why they didn't do that for
the sequel?
The prequel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this got a prequel, right? Ariel's begin. That one, oh God, I hate to say it, I don't remember it.
That's the one with the mom, where they show the mom dying, and then the king bans music from the kingdom.
Oh, so they did the whole Coco thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it first.
You know, I don't mean to sound critical of the classic Disney animated movies at all, but like there was something I had to really adjust when I watched Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty again, having seen all the Pixar movies before that, because just the differences in like the storytelling was just so stark. Yeah,
it was way more simple back then.
You're telling me. Yeah. That's why I was saying it's difficult to do so. So this sequence here, where Ursula is like, "All the power's back down to my power," whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
You were saying how you were looking forward to that being done in the dark ride. How would they've done this sequence in the dark ride?
The way that I saw it was that it was like the animatronic that they used for like her scene. It was gonna be that scene, so she's gonna be that big, but like scary. But I mean, I guess it makes sense why they didn't do that.
And honestly, I'm not even sure, because you have to understand that as far as Ariel's undersea adventure is concerned with in DCA, that building existed before, right? Like,
it was something with Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah. So like, I don't know how much of it they had to demo to like fit a showroom in there for all those things. Like, but I'm not sure if they had the space to do that.
But
and honestly,
it's not in the one at Disney World either.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
maybe I just kind of maybe I thought that was what was gonna happen, but it like actually was never part of the plan. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult, right? Because it always is a contest when you do a dark ride on a movie like this. What songs do you keep? What songs do you cut? Because part of, I think, why Ariel's Undersea Adventure works so well is because how quick it goes and how many people, how many crowds it can absorb into the ride, you know?
I love how this scene looks, like the colors that they use.
Yeah. It also reminds me of the fucking Maelstrom from Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, because like, you know, it opens up and you have these ships right there and everything. Yeah.
I also love that Eric gets like, well, I guess Prince Philip had like a rescuing type of thing. Right.
Well, Eric gets Prince Philip killed Maleficent, but with the aid of the three fairies.
Yeah,
right?
And he's like, "No, I got this." Yes.
Yeah. I like Sleeping Beauty, and I've only seen it like twice. I never saw it as a kid. I only saw it like last year, I think. We did a Once Upon a retrospect on it, which you can listen to that. Notice how I'm plugging so many podcasts that we've done in these latest recordings. We've done a lot of shit.
Yeah.
To me, like, if you ask me, like, who the main characters of Sleeping Beauty are, it's the three fairies, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones it's basically their movie, right? Like, Aurora gets
no time.
You almost forget that she's there when she falls asleep. Like, she's gone for the third act of the movie.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how to feel, because, I mean, that is Sleeping Beauty. That's the story.
Yeah. That was my favorite movie when I was little.
Yeah?
Or she was my favorite princess, like, when I was little. Yeah.
I was surprised how much I liked those three fairies in the classic movie, because in Maleficent, which I did watch before...
Oh my god, I hated them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Ugh. Ooh, speaking of live action.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Honestly, I love this scene. Her dress.
Yeah, this scene is... Oh, God.
It's so good.
Again, this is what is so good about the voice performances. Like, when he says, how much I'm going to miss her. Of course, I did it terribly, but, I mean, the performance here is oh, God. And the choices for how to, like, animate this were just like, oh, God, that's just so perfect. I remember I was watching today the Waking Sleeping Beauty, and the person that animated Ariel insisted that he be the one to animate her because of how captivated he was by Jodie Benson's performance of Part of Your World.
I love that.
Yeah? Yeah. Carla and Grimsby right there.
I love the, like, I don't know, the orchestra right here, or like the singing.
The score? Oh, the chorus?
Yeah. That.
Yeah. The chorus at the end. Now we can walk, now we can run. Yeah, the whole thing at the end, yeah. That must hurt. Louis getting his teeth knocked in. God, this ending always gets me. It's so beautiful. Like, just everything about Little Mermaid, just like that's... I think it is the best Disney princess movie. Like, it just... I don't know. I feel you agree, right? I think you already said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I only ever seen, like, one list that had this not only as the best Disney princess, but the best Disney movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
there are a lot of lists.
It wouldn't be mine, so.
I can't think of one right now off the top of my head. Maybe I feel in some ways Beauty and the Beast is, but then that's a Disney princess movie, and I just said Little Mermaid's better.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
No, like, for sure not another princess movie, but
right.
I could think of another Disney movie. It's just, like, hard because most of their movies are just Disney princesses.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So real quick before we go, you wanted to discuss what the live action would look like?
Yeah.
I honestly haven't given it that much thought. I know Lin-Manuel Miranda is... What's he doing with this movie?
He is, I think, writing the lyrics, and then Alan Menken is doing the score.
Which... Duh. That's obviously exciting.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'm excited because I love both of these men.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just I've been so disappointed with
live action.
Beauty and the Beast, I enjoyed it, but Aladdin and Lion King really let me down.
I like Aladdin.
The live action remake?
Yeah, I like that one. Lion King was crap, but
look, I think Lion King is far worse than Aladdin. The live action remakes, mind you. But I was watching it here at home, Aladdin. I think I fell asleep for the first 20 minutes.
I think, my favorite one is Cinderella.
Yeah.
No. It was The Jungle Book and then Cinderella. But Aladdin might be the third one that I think is really good. Mm-hmm.
You like that better than Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
I thought you really liked the Beauty and the Beast live action remake.
I did, but I really did like Aladdin.
Wow.
I don't know. I think maybe I just think that they adapted it really well with like the actors that they got and like kind of revamping it a little bit. Whereas Beauty and the Beast, I think they kept everything pretty much the same. And then the voice acting
Lion King was literally the same.
Oh my god, Lion King was crap. Don't talk about Lion King.
I thought you liked the movie.
Lion King?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was so mad.
Really?
There was only one...
I was the most mad at that movie. I tore that movie a new one.
No, when they announced Beyonce playing Nala, I was like, no. But because I knew what was gonna happen, and it happened. But there was only one scene where I was like, wow, that was a great scene, which was when Simba, yeah, he was talking to Scar, and he was like, I'm gonna be your king one day, and then Scar was like, oh yeah, like, and he gave him like that creepy look. That was the only scene that I was like, wow. But other than that, oh my god, so
no,
mad.
I hate it. I think to me, Lion King is the worst movie of the decade. That's where I stand. Literally, to me, it was easily the worst theatrical experience because I've never been so disinterested, so miserably bored at a movie than that. I literally was like looking around the audience, just like, somebody kill me. I don't want to be here anymore. And even with like movies that are bad, I never like think of walking out. I wanted to run out of the theater watching this. It was unbelievably mind mushing. I hated it. And I was excited for Mulan, and I feel like we would have already seen it by this point.
Yeah.
Corona.
I'm still pretty excited about that one.
Yeah.
I think that one's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be the one that's most different, so that's kind of exciting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Dumbo was okay.
I mean, Tim Burton hasn't made a good movie in a long time, so I didn't really expect anything. I feel bad saying that because, like, I mean, like when I think of Tim Burton, I think of like greats like Sweeney Todd, and Big Fish.
Oh my god,
Batman,
I love Big Fish.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. So, what is something is playing. There was an alternate thing playing here. But any last thoughts on Little Mermaid as we end the commentary here?
I love this movie. It's great. It will always be great.
Yeah. It's like I said, it doesn't get old, it doesn't get boring, and I feel like it, to me, is the easiest to go back and watch than the others. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we'll be doing more audio commentaries, as we mentioned earlier. We're going to be doing Onward with Disney and Pixar. And we're also doing Frozen 2. So those will be the next audio commentaries coming on Fantasy Faire and then for Red Spotlight. And Moreno, you're more than welcome to come on and do these as well. We're going to do audio commentaries with Peter and Kyle on Knives Out, which I know is a film that you also love. And then one that no one loves, but we're still going to put ourselves through it, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So you're more than welcome to come on and do those with us and share and, commiserate. Especially in the case of one J.J. Abrams. So, yeah. And until then, you can catch new episodes of the podcast here on Fantasy Faire every Monday. And Fridays, we got episodes coming at you with Pixar and Disney princesses and Disneyland attractions and a lot of good stuff coming at you, brought to you by coronavirus. Until then, as Kyle would say, stay magical. Bye-bye.
Stay home.
Yeah. Stay in your damn homes.